Hey, what's up, guys? Back again with another video. Hey, so guys, we're going to take it back to my second video. I know I've been talking about prophecy a lot, but I feel like I do need to remind you of certain things. And then we're going to talk about a chapter of Ezekiel 31. So understand, there is a topic I talked about in my second video. It was called, I believe it was like 4 years ago, the judgment of the fallen angels, the angelical race, guys. And basically what it was the gap theory. You might heard of the gap theory. Basically, it's a theory that Genesis verse 1, okay, and verse 2, there's a gap in between there, guys. Now, not to go into a whole rampage of different things I already talked about in that video, but there are many fossils that have been found. Now, whether you know, people call them fake, people don't really, look at it as so important, but these people that's finding these fossils, guys, a lot of them are even tracing back, hitting millions of years. So when we think about things of the ice age and things of everything like that, we need to understand, okay, could there be a chance that this earth is way older than 6,000 years? And forget the 6,000 years thing as far as the earth is concerned, but even civilization, how far has it really been going back? And people are still wondering about different things like, oh, the pyramid, who created the pyramid, things like that. So we got a big of idea of certain things, but guys, they've been finding old cities in the waters, guys. They've been finding, they're still finding ancient towns that remains traced back to thousands of years and things like that. The ice age, that was, they say, was 100,000 of years ago, could be million years. So basically, it's all this evidence, guys. Clearly, guys, there was something here before us. All right. And that's basically what we're trying to get into. Another study that is accurate is that there is actually waters older than the sun. So when we think of Genesis 1, okay, it's a void there. So before I even go on into all of this, why is this important, guys? Well, guys, we're getting to the end times of things, right? We're getting to that point. And what happens is usually is that a lot of the essence of what got us here starts to reveal itself. All right. So the reason why it's important, because Satan have a short amount of time. All right. His time is running out. Right. So what we need to do is we are trying to figure out, what did he do before? Why did he fall? Because we're going to figure out that he literally did the same thing he is doing now, but just in a physical form, right? So understand that Adam, okay, when he ate that apple, he gave dominion to Satan. This is why Paul calls Satan the prince of the air, right? So if we go to Ezekiel 1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void. So we look at the Hebrew side of things, guys. Void, okay, form, guys, darkness. God didn't create anything without form, void, darkness. So that is talking about judgment, and things like that. So if we go to Jeremiah 4, I believe that's after Isaiah, could be tripping. Okay, then I'm gonna run it back to Ezekiel 31. So if we go to Jeremiah 4, starting from verse 23, I behold the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, in the heavens, and they had no light. Right? So remember, Genesis 1, darkness. Now Jeremiah is going back to this time. He's saying no light. Now, with waters being older than the sun, these verses are not contradicting that, right? So what happens is if there's no sun, okay, not only there's no light, and also in Genesis 1 verse 2, it was talking about the darkness was upon the face of the deep. So it was like a lot of water. So, you compare all those things, there would have to be an ice age. It would have no choice but to be an ice age, right? And so we go on. I behold the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. So he's giving us more description, okay, of what he's seeing. Now, this is a precept. This is what precepts do. All right. This is why you want to find puzzles throughout the Bible, because one precept gives you more description, while the other give you, the base, of what's going on and things like that. But you can usually find a witness that can even give you more into the story, or more into the context of, what you're trying to find out. And in this one, since it's a precept to Genesis 1, verse 2, we're finding out that the mountains, they tremble, and the hills move lightly. Well, how is it moved? And tremble, those are not good words. So what happened, right? I behold, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens were fled. So we're finding out there was life form before verse 2 of Genesis 1, right? I behold, in the fruitful place was a wilderness. Fruitful place, right? Okay. And all the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord, and by his fierce anger. So clearly there was a destruction that happened. Cities, that means civilizations, were here before Genesis 1 verse 2. This is what we're reading, guys. So he goes on to say, and for thus hath the Lord said, the whole land shall be desolate, yet will I not make a full end. Well, that seems accurate too, because he didn't make a full end. I wonder how long this took. After destruction, he leaves the earth black, okay, for millions of years, okay, and then boom. You know what I'm saying? He creates a whole new flesh, whole new different type of creation, which is the image of him. And that's us. So we're getting to the point to where this is deeper than just this generation, the past generations. This story have been going on for a very long time, guys. And this is why we need to understand what we're dealing with here, guys, as far as our souls, our legacy with our Most High Father, and why it's very important to have a relationship with him. Because we're going to start to figure out what cities Jeremiah is talking about that were destroyed, guys. All right, so that is a witness to Genesis 1 verse 2. We can go to Peter 3 for more confirmation. I believe 1 Peter 3. I could be wrong. Okay. Sorry, but what Peter was basically saying, you guys could clearly just look it up. Once I kind of explain what he was saying, you guys can read the verses yourself. But what Peter was saying is that there was a time to where God used the flood. He used the waters to destroy the earth of ancient times. But he said it in a way that he wasn't talking about the Noah's flood. I wish I could find it. I really believe it's in 2. If y'all find it before I do, just read it and read it slowly. Count salvation. Well, I might have to pass this up. We don't want to. Yeah, guys, might have to pass this up. But yeah, guys, so we still have some more precepts to go to regarding that, but the Peter was just also another good thing. I wish I could find it. But yeah, it was the world that then was that Peter was talking about. So hopefully you guys find it. But guys, we're going to go on to Isaiah 14. And then we're going to head on to Ezekiel 28. I might give some precepts there, but then we'll finish it off with Ezekiel 31. Wish I can find that one. That's tough. So Isaiah is before Jeremiah and Ezekiel. We're going to go to Isaiah 14. We're going to start from verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven? So we already know from the get-go, this is a being that was from heaven. It wasn't an S in this heaven, it was heaven. So we understand what heaven this is talking about. It wasn't just talking about just random, because if it was just talking about just space, it would say heavens with the S. O Lucifer. Okay, so the name, son of the morning, or other translations would say the morning star, things like that. Now, understand the morning star. Jesus offered this to one of the churches in the book of Revelation. And we go on, how art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations. Now, remember this cut down to the ground reference, okay? Because this is going to be very important in what we're going to go into. Cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations. So, this heavenly being that came from heaven has fallen, right? So this is literally a form of a fallen angel. For that has said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. So this being from heaven apparently had a throne, right? And I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, and I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. So he's describing these heavens, Lucifer is, right? And he has the desire to be like his superior. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pits. They that see thou shalt narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Remember, in Jeremiah, the term was tremble, right? And that did shake kingdoms, that made a world a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. So we have a heavenly being that physically made the earth, the world, a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. So there was warfare during this time. So right now we need to figure out, okay, so we're starting to understand okay, so this man is the reason why Jeremiah 4 happened, right? So we're going to figure out, okay, more about his throne, his position, prisoners, what happened. And we're going to go to Ezekiel 28 for that. So we're going to start from verse 12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyre, and say unto him, that said the Lord, thou sealest up the sum full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Okay. That has been in Eden, the garden of God. Stop. Okay. Is this talking about Adam? No. Is it talking about Eve? No. What about Cain, Abel? Because before Cain killed Abel, they was in the garden, right? No. Okay. So it goes on. That has been in Garden of Eden, every precious stone thy covering. They go on to name 9 stones, right? The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes were prepared in thee in the day that was created. So if this isn't Adam, it can't be a human being, because the only human being that was created and wasn't born, well, if you add Eve, but that would be Adam, right? So this got to be talking about angelical being. It has no choice to, right? That's aren't the anointed cherub. Anointed cherub, right? So remember, cherubims is plural, right? And we understand that the cherubims was guarding the garden of God when Adam and Eve got kicked out, right? So, right, I guess to go back to my last point, Cain and Abel had no chance of being included in this chapter. So, guys, this is talking about an angelical being, basically. Now, cherubims are creatures, which is really not important. We don't got to go into specifics of that. It's just, but just want to let you know that we really can't necessarily call seraphims or cherubims angels, right? Because they're more like creatures. In Revelation, the description in Revelation 4, they're described as the 4 living creatures or the 4 beasts, all right, things like that. But yeah. So we go on. Anointed chariot that covered, and I set thee so that what was upon the holy mountain of God. So, Garden of Eden is on earth, right? But the holy mountain of God, if you go to Hebrews 12, verse 22, I'm almost there. But ye are come unto Mount Zion and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, into an innumerable company of angels. So, this holy mountain of God is in heaven. So, this anointed chariot, okay, was going back and forth from heaven to earth, okay. We go on, that has walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. That could be talking about planets, who knows, right? Because if we see the mystery stones of fire, right, gas, right? Now, a lot of these other planet is made of it could be anything, right? That was perfect in thy ways from the day that was created. So guys, if we go back a little bit verses, remember it says the workmanships of thy tabrets and of thy pipes were prepared in the day. So this man was a musician, guys. This fallen one was a musician, right? Rhythm, right? So think of spells, right? Or guys, think of the music industry of today. This is why this is important to understand your enemy sometimes, you know? And we're understanding it in the Bible, guys. Now, this guy was, remember, full of wisdom, right? Musician, he had a throne, he was a king. But if we go on to verse 15, that's how it's perfect in thy ways from the day that was created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence. And thou hast sinned. Therefore, I will cast thee as profane out the mountain of God. So this is when Jesus said that he saw Satan fall like lightning, right? Because he got kicked out from the holy mountain of God. He got kicked out of heaven, right? And I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Guys, he got kicked out the second heavens, guys. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty, guys. So in this time of day, we have this, I don't know if you want to call it religion, but movement, if anything, law of attraction, guys, okay? from the midst of the stones of fire. Thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty, that has corrupted thy wisdom by the reason of thy brightness. Guys, he have kept looking in the mirror 1,000 times a day, this angel did. Or whatever, cherub, or whatever. Guys, remember, he's a king. You know what I'm saying? He's going back and forth. And through the civilizations on earth, he have took advantage of his higher authority, well, his higher state. And this man started taking advantage of the economy, guys. Okay, he started to get into the world a little bit too much. When he's going back and forth to heaven, right? He is a cherubim, right? And they guard, okay? They be in the presence of the God. And he's an anointed cherub at that, guys. He was a musician. He was directing worship, guys. Listen, we are dealing with a maniac, okay, that we never dealt with before, guys. This is what we're dealing with. And we're going to keep going on. Thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thy corrupted thy wisdom because the reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. That's how defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thy iniquities. By the iniquity of thy traffic. This man was a drug dealer. No, but in all seriousness, guys, I don't know if Satan was taking things from heaven and bringing them down to earth to sell. I don't know what was going on, but apparently he was using his kingmanship as a front, and he was using his influence and all that, and he got the world to sin. And I believe this is what started this warfare. This is involved all the prisoners, that we read about in Isaiah 14. This is bad. Okay, this is bad. That's have defied thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thy iniquity and by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore, I will bring thee forth a fire from the midst of thee. It shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. All that they know, the people among the people shall be astonished at thee. That shall be a terror, and never shall be anymore. So when we look at, Genesis 1, and then we know that this snake, was in the Garden of Eden, guys. If there's an angelical race before us, then that means they can't die, guys. That means they've been in dark for all of those years that could have reached million, billion, who knows, right? That snake, Satan, guys, who I'm sure was formed into a snake, because if you go to Job 26, verse 13, by his spirit he garnished the heavens, and his hand has formed the cricket serpent. So yeah, God made him look ugly. Okay, guys, he made this man look ugly. Guys, he made him look the opposite of how he was created. Right? So this is interesting, say the least. Man, oh man. So we're gonna go to Ezekiel 31, guys. You guys are kind of getting the drift here, okay? Now, I'm going to read this whole chapter, guys, and I want you guys to follow me, guys. All right. The language, the settings. Okay. Now, those chapters is a little bit more well known. So I could break it down easier. Had lots of experience on gears on it. I debated with it. So it's been tested a lot. This Ezekiel 31, you're not going to hear much. And the way we read this, you're not going to find a teacher. A lot of the topics I talk about, uh, it's going to be hard to just, talk about it with everyday people that you're around. You normally got to find, confirmations and search and, weeks, Holy Spirit giving you different, confirmations and things like that. But this is one of those things, Ezekiel 31. So let's go into it and see what we got. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to his multitudes, whom art thy light and thy greatness. So, guys, now notice what he does. Even in Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28, it all started because he was talking to a king. Now, obviously, in those chapters, he was talking about a world that was clearly not in that time of the king he was talking to, right? But it's as if God is trying to let this guy know, like, yo, I have done this discipline to people in higher states than you. I already did this. And this is kind of the attitude, God's been kind of giving us the whole time in this Bible. Like, this is nothing new to him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's basically what I get from those chapters that I read. He's basically letting these kings know, King of Tyre know, King of Babylon know, that I've been here before, and this is, again, one of these chapters as we keep on reading. If we go into verse 2, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to his multitudes, and who art thy, look at thy greatness. Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon. Right, so the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, right? So obviously he's talking about a being, I'm guessing, as far as we know, a human. The Assyrian was a cedar, and so he's already making a comparison of comparing this person to a tree, right? Now remember, in Isaiah 14, Lucifer was cut down, okay, right? Okay, to the ground. This is specifically what the verses were said, right? So peep the language here, right? Cedar in Lebanon with fair branches, and with the shade and with the shadowing trout, and of a high stature, and his, right, gender, right, his top was among the thickest. The waters made him great. So understand, when we talk about the waters, right, and especially in prophecy, guys, we go to Revelation 17, I believe. Dang, am I losing it? Cast cry for our ships. Okay, hold on. I know it's in this chapter, guys. Sorry. So if we go to Revelation 17, verse 15, and he said unto them, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sit are peoples in multitude and nations in tongue. So consider that when we see the waters made him great, right? Because how else could the waters make him great? Oh, he's never going to be thirsty no more. Like, actually think about the text here, right? The deep set him up on high with her rivers running round about his plants, and set out her little rivers onto all the trees of the field. So it goes on to say, therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field. His bonks were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he sat forth. So basically what he's saying is, guys, his clout, his influence is achieving great because of the waters that's growing them. So guys, this is kind of a form of the son of perdition, guys, that Paul talks about. But if we keep reading, it's going to get more weird about when this might have happened, who this might be, what type of person this is, right? All the fowls of the heavens made their nest in his and under his branches. Did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under their shadow dwelt all great nations, guys. So this was the man. You know what I'm saying? This man was renowned. Okay, Genesis 6, right? Thus was he fair in his greatness, and in the length of his branches, for his root was by great waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. Stop. Garden of God. Cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. And so if the cedars in the garden of God, right, how can we all of a sudden just say that these are regular cedars with all the gender pronouns we just got through, talking about the cedar in Lebanon with fair branches, the Assyrian, right? So who are we just to say, oh, now we got to verse 8, now it's just regular cedars? Could it be a chance that these are other beings too in the garden of God? Could not hide him. The fig trees were not like his, and the chestnut trees was not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of God was like unto him in his beauty. Now, understand that in Ezekiel 28, okay, his beauty was among the best, right? Okay. Not saying that this is the same, but I'm just saying. Could be in different times, and this time it was his turn. Who knows? Who knows? Right? I made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him. So God did this at the time of the trees of Eden and that were in the garden would envy him. Guys, this is crazy. So when have this might have happened, right? Now remember that Cain built a city, right? It wasn't in the Garden of Eden. Well, it could have been. I need to go back to see. It won't be too hard. I'll go back in a minute. But remember that he built a city, okay? But is this in that time? We're still figuring out. Thus hath said the Lord, because thou hast lifted up thyself in height, and he hath shot his top among the thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in his height. I therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathens. He shall surely deal with him. I have driven him out of for his wickedness. Okay, so this is definitely not the same guy from Ezekiel 28, okay? Because this one right here, he got his butt whooped by someone else, right? And the strangers and the terrible of the nations have cut him off. The Bible love using this term, right? Cut him off, trees, all that, okay? And I have left him upon the mountains, and all the valleys of his branches are fallen. All right, broken by all the rivers of the land, and all the people of the earth are gone down from his shadow and have left him. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heaven remain, and all the beasts of the earth shall be upon his branches, to the end that none of them of the trees by the waters exalt themselves for their height, neither shoot up their top among the thick, neither their trees stand up in their height, all the drink water, for they are delivered unto death, to the neither parts of the earth, in the midst of the children of men, and with them that go down to the pit. Now look at the distinguish here. You see the distinguish, it's kind of the same distinguish that we seen in Genesis 6, right? The sons of God, daughters of men, right? In the midst of children of men. Guys, I believe these trees was talking about fallen angels, okay? Their height was exalted above the trees of the field. We're talking about the heights. We're talking about, I think this was a fallen angel, y'all. This is what I'm looking at when I see the Garden of Eden, when I see nations. But you know, we're still going to go to Isaiah and to see what's going on with Cain and Abel. But I believe after they ate that apple, I believe they got kicked out the Garden of Eden, if I'm not mistaken. I really believe. So if that is the case, guys, all right, and then we don't know, you know, once they got to Cain and Abel, okay, we don't know if that was their first kid, if that was their 500 kid, we don't know. But because of the distinguish of in the midst of the children of men, I believe that this was before Adam time in the Garden of Eden, guys. This is what I'm thinking. But who knows if we'll keep reading. Thou hast the Lord said, in the day when he went down to the grave, I have caused a mourning. I covered the deep for him. I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed. And I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell with them that descended into the pit, and all the trees of Eden. Okay, the choice in the best of Lebanon, all that drunk water, shall be conformed in the neither parts of the earth. They also went down into hell with him, that they have been slain with the sword, and that they were his arm, that dwelt under his shadow in the midst of the heathens, to whom thou art like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden. Ye shall be brought down with the trees of Eden onto the benevolent parts of the earth. That's lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them shall be by the sword. Guys, so there was multiple trees that got thrown down to earth. That got thrown down to hell before this cedar, guys. So God, guys, I know people talk about blessings a lot, guys. I know, guys, if God give you a blessing, I hate to do this analysis, guys. I hate to do this, but at the end of the day, it's what I can explain through my experience and things like that, guys. Listen, through mafias and through any type of lifestyle like that, or even if you think of sales, your manager, whatever, guys, if they give you the bag, don't fumble it, guys. If God blesses you in any way and you sin after that blessing, guys, this is you. If you do that, if you sin after you get the blessing, it was already hard enough for you to fall in line with God, to finally get a blessing. If you turn back after getting the blessing, you owe him more than you did before, literally, right? So, guys, God is no game. God is no game. He was Abraham's friend. Guys, he is not your friend. Guys, this takes a relationship to get to where him and Abraham was at. This takes a relationship to get where him and David is at. This is not just a snap in the finger, guys. This is not. And then once you get to that relationship and he have you higher than all the trees, he wants other trees to be envy of you, and then you sin, he'll make an example out of you, guys. And when he do make an example, guys, it's going to be the biggest one in there. He did this. He described this in Job, y'all. He described this with the Leviathan. He described their strongest points. He didn't mention nothing weak about them. He just talked about how he destroyed them, how he got control over them. There was no animal, there was no sea monster that could handle the Leviathan. There was no sailors and shipmasters that could contest the Leviathan. It was all in Job. Okay, so God goes after, the highest that sins, guys, which if we want to talk about America, guys, we don't have that much longer. But that's all beside the point, guys. I hope this was interesting to you. You can tell me what you think about it. But guys, we are living in the days of Noah, right? Jesus said the last days would be like the days of Noah. If we talk about giants of Genesis 6, guys, so what were giants? Okay, and I'll end it off with here. Giants, remember, in Genesis 6 were half human, half angels, right? So they can't die, but they can die at the same time. Guys, when the flood happened, or when giants do die, period, can't they just turn to stone? Right? So when we look at the mountain and look at the caves and things around the world, can their creators, which is the fallen angels that came into the daughters of men, can they, I don't know, make another type of hybrid. And this what probably sets with the mark of the beast. But this is all what we need to go on here. But guys, basically my point of this video that, guys, this is nothing new under the sun. God did all of this before. He did total destruction before. He did. Sorry, y'all, but if y'all think this was about to transpire to this earth was anything new, nope. We just forced his hand. Now he's going to have to do the same thing he did to his last race, guys. Peace out.